Janome.
Hello everyone and welcome to Live with Janome. I'm Miriam Coffey. I'm an education specialist here at Janome America, and I'd like to welcome you all to my studio. In today's video, we're going to be going over all things free motion quilting. We will not be going over particular patterns for free motion quilting, like feathers or paisleys or anything along that lines. There are plenty of videos out there that go over techniques on particular patterns, but today we're going to be going over everything related to the machine. So how to set up the machine for free motion quilting, the different feet that are available for free motion quilting, and what they're used for, as well as how to start and end your free motion quilting. With that being said, let's go ahead and switch angles and take a closer look at the machine.
Alrighty, now that we're zoomed in here, let's go ahead and take a closer look at how to set up our machine for free motion quilting. So the first thing that we need to do is select our sewing applications, which is this t-shirt icon right here on the right. And we're just going to select that. And the first thing that's going to come up is our sewing tab. And this is everything related to sewing on this page, but we want to be quilting. So we're going to select the second tab with the heart and little feathers on the side. And now that's everything that's related to quilting. Now we want to select free motion quilting because that's what we want to do, which is the second tab right here. We're just going to select free motion. And then it's going to give us several options to choose from. And one thing I want to point out is right up here, you're going to see the foot that is applicable to the particular stitch that you have selected. So this first stitch, they want you to use the PDH foot, but we want to actually use a different foot. So we're going to select the straight stitch 3. We're going to select that one. It's just making sure that we have the right foot attached, because we want to be using the QC or the QO foot, which is the free motion closed toe and the free motion open toe. Now we'll attach that foot in just a second, but before we do, there's one more thing that we need to do to set up our machine to get it ready for free motion quilting, and that is to switch our stitch plates. I like to use the straight stitch plate, which is this plate right here. I like to use the straight stitch plate when free motion quilting. You do not have to, but it does give you a slightly better stitch because it supports your stitches for when you are free motion quilting. So let's go ahead and switch out our stitch plate, which is this key icon on the far right. We're just going to select that and then open up our stitch plate, and then we'll just sort of switch that out, put the new one on, and just let that attach. And then that's just making sure that we have the right foot attached for the particular stitch, and then we just unlock that, and then we are ready to free motion quilt. So next we're going to switch angles and take a closer look at the different feet that we have. All right, now that we're zoomed in here, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the standard accessories for the Continental M6. But before we do that, let's go ahead and switch out the stitch plates because I want to show you from this angle how to change out your stitch plate. So we've already gone over the screen, which we're going to select the key icon and then the quick release stitch icon, which is that blue square on the screen. Remove the first stitch plate, which would be your zigzag stitch plate, or whichever stitch plate happens to be on your machine, and then install the straight stitch at a slight angle and let it snap into place. And then we're just going to X out of the screen and select the lock key, and now we're at our ready to sew screen. Now that we've changed stitch plates, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the standard accessories that come with the Continental M6. First off, we have our PDH foot. This is the closed toe version. There are 2 of these feet that come standard with this machine. This area right here is closed. In the open toe version, it is open. But other than that, they are the same foot, and they can be used for straight stitch or zigzag quilting. This also is called a hopping foot, or some people call it the hopping foot, because when it attaches to the ankle right here, it sort of hops up and down and is not stationary. So that is the PDH foot. And then this is the open toe free motion PDH foot. And again, there's an opening right here. So some people call this the hopping foot. Some also call it the darning foot. In the manual, it's called the darning foot. Next, we have the QC foot, which is the free motion closed toe foot. It has 2 bars on the front here, and that's how it attaches to the ankle of your machine. And this foot is stationary and will stay put as you free motion along. And that is the free motion closed toe foot. Next, we have the QO foot, which is the free motion open toe foot. So this is an open area right here in the front. Again, it also has 2 bars that attach to the ankle down below here. You're going to attach the back bar first and then insert the front bar. Next, we have the variable zigzag free motion foot, which also is the QZ foot. And this is how you can do free motion variable zigzag. Next, we have the QV foot, which is the free motion zigzag foot. It also can be called the echo foot, which has these little marks here that help you echo along a particular shape. And it also works really well if you are to sort of smooth everything out near the needle area. So if you have something like uneven fabric that sometimes gets caught on some of the other feet, this can help smooth everything around the needle. Now that we've gone over all of the feet, let's go ahead and start to free motion quilt. Alrighty, now that we've zoomed out here a little bit, let's go ahead and go over how to attach the free motion feet. We're going to attach the free motion open toe foot, and we're going to start from this back bar, and then we're going to attach the front bar second. So the way to install this foot is to place it underneath the ankle at kind of a diagonal or an angle back to front, and sort of insert it into that little opening there. And then what you're going to do is lower your presser foot, and it is going to snap it into place. And I'll show that to you one more time. I'm just going to detach it from that there's a little lever here in the back that kind of unsnaps it. And again, we're going to underneath the ankle at a diagonal and lower. Another thing that I want to point out is as the foot lowers, it does a little double bounce thing. And I'm going to show that to you one more time. And if you look at the foot, it's going to go down and then come back up. And what that does, there's a sensor in the machine that senses how thick your batting is, and it will adjust the height accordingly, which is a really nice feature because we're all not going to be using the same thickness of batting all the time. So with that being said, I've got my needle thread. I've got a nice long tail here. And I'm going to start to free motion quilt. And in order to do that, I need to pull up my bobbin thread because I want to have a nice clean back of my project. So I'm going to hold on to my needle thread and I'm going to do a needle down, needle up, and it's going to pull up that bobbin thread. And as you can see, I have a pink bobbin thread because I want you to be able to see the difference between my needle and my bobbin thread. And then we're going to take both of these threads and swipe those underneath the foot. And that's why I like to use the open toe free motion foot, because it's easy to get those threads out of the way. So now that I just sort of put them, I like them to put them in the back corner of my project, kind of just stick them in the back, get them out of the way, and then I can start quilting. And then I'm just going to quilt for a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how to pull up our bobbin thread to stop your project so that you have a nice starting point and then a nice ending point. So let's go ahead and just quilt for a little bit. One thing that I like to do when I begin quilting is I like to stitch in place for a little bit before I start quilting right away, because I want to create a little bit of a knot at that beginning and at the end, so that I can just cut my threads and I don't have to worry about burying them or tying them in a knot to secure them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay put for just about a second, and then I'm going to begin quilting. And then you saw that I stitched in place for about a second before I ended. Again, creating a little knot on the back, just a small one. And now I'm going to lift my needle up and lift my foot up, hold on to my needle thread, pull out some slack, and then kind of transfer the slack past the needle or through the eye. And then I want to go back to the exact place where I ended, which is right there. I'm going to go back there and I'm going to take my hand to the flywheel and turn and just go through that exact same opening, which is going to pick up my bobbin thread. And now I can pull up that bobbin thread. Now, if I was on the M8 or the CM17, I could use my little thumb dial right here to pull up that bobbin thread, and that's a very convenient little feature to have on those machines. But since I'm on the M6, I'm going to use the flywheel. So now I'm just going to pull up that bobbin thread, and I like to get a little fair amount of thread there to just kind of get that out of the way. And then I'm going to trim those threads. And now I have threads at my starting point and threads at my ending. So this is where I started, right over here, and then this is where I ended. And then I can just trim both of those threads close to the fabric. I could also bury those if I wanted to with a self-threading needle. But since I created a little knot at the beginning and the end, I don't have to worry about that because it's already secured my stitches. So now you can see the back of my fabric is nice and clean. There's no knots there. So now the front and the back of my projects look just as beautiful as the front. And that's how easy it is to start and end free motion quilting on your Continental M6.
I'd like to thank you all so much for joining me in today's video, learning everything you need to know about free motion quilting on your Janome Continental M6. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time. Happy sewing!